you have a 3D printer and you want a touch screen to go to your 3D printer that will be controlled by OctoPi, then stay tuned. This video is for you guys. I'm going to show you how to set it up. Crazy Will here from Crazy Will's Tech Show. Today, I thought I'd go through the process of setting up this touchscreen to work with OctoPrint. You know, hook the Raspberry Pi up in the back, load OctoPrint, and get the touch working so when it automatically boots, I have a touchscreen that I can automatically touch and get to work. So if I load up files, I can just test it, or if I'm having problems here, I can stop it, or I can load filament. It's not a necessary project, but it's a fun one, and I think that if you want to add a little next generation kind of touch application to your 3D printer using a Raspberry Pi running OctoPrint, well, I'm going to show you that today, guys. Now, this is one of those touchscreens with HDMI. I had this touchscreen laying around collecting dust, and I wanted to do a cool project. So I thought, what better project to do than to make it control my 3D printer? You know, I can do all kinds of stuff where I can watch the progress or control it through touch. WIMAXIT sent me out this LCD touchscreen for a Raspberry Pi quite a while ago, and you can see that video here. I reviewed it, and I really liked it. I thought it was really cool. It even has sound. I'll do a quick install on how to show you how to set up OctoPrint. If you want a more detailed instruction on how to set up OctoPrint, take a look at this video right here. But let's get over to it and see how I set this up. All right, so here we are. A lot of you guys have seen some of my past videos. I already showed you how to do this, so I am going to go through this quickly. I showed you how to install OctoPrint, and I showed you how to make an image, and I'll leave the two videos in the description down below. If you already seen my videos, you already know how to do this, skip this part and go to the next part of the video. For those of you who haven't, here we go. You're gonna put an SD card in. It's gonna show up on your screen. This one's boot because it was something else I did, and we're gonna go and use Raspberry Pi Imager. Alright, so we opened up Raspberry Pi Imager. This is it right here. We're going to choose the operating system. So the first thing we're going to look for is, and I'm sorry, my 3D printer is going off in the background, specific OS purposes. 3D printing, OctoPrint, out of the box. We don't want the night build, we want the stable version. We're going to choose media storage. Generic media storage, which is this buddy right here, and we're gonna go to this cog. Let's see if we can fill password. Yes. So you just have to put in your username and password for your Mac. If you're on a PC, you have to put it on PC username and password. All right, so what we're gonna do is, for this session only, we're gonna enable SSH, use authenticate password. We're gonna use Pi, and then I'm gonna just use a password I like to use. Alright, and that is my wireless LAN and password. That's fine. Alright, and that's it. So that does all the extra work for us, so we could just plug and play this in. I love this new setup. The only thing that scares me is that I might forget how to do it the old way. Alright, so now we'll just hit right. And we'll be erased, so we're gonna hit yes, and just let that go through its process. Alright, so the image is done. We're gonna go ahead and hit continue, and that should be the end for this part. It automatically ejected it, so now I can just pull it out, and now we'll go over to the screen. Alright, so we plugged up the screen. What we're going to do now is we went to octopi.local, type that in, we get this. This is your setup wizard, and we're going to go ahead, hit next. We're not restoring from a backup, hit next. So we're going to put in the username. I'm going to put Crazy Will. I'm going to put in password. Alright, create the account. Next. Configuration check. Host name. Yep. Enable. Alright. Hit next. Anonymous. Using track. Yeah, that's fine. They could track me. I don't give a crap. We want to enable blacklisted. We want that. That's fine. I think we're gonna leave this, I guess, default, because I'm gonna use this for multiple printers. That's fine. Build volume. Rectangle. I know all my printers are 235 by 235. 235 by, I'm gonna leave it at 200. I think it's higher than 200, but I'm gonna leave it at 200. Left, yeah. Access, that's fine. Hot end extruder, yeah. So this is all generic stuff, and then we'll hit next, and then finish. That's fine. It's gonna say that, you know, you're not supposed to leave it alone. Updates are available. We're gonna go ahead and do that. Proceed. Alright, let this do its thing. It's going to reboot now, and then you just refresh the browser. Alright, so that's pretty quick because my Raspberry Pi is a Raspberry Pi 4. You can use 3 on up, that's what I would recommend. Okay, so I don't have a printer connector or anything like that right now. We're trying to get the touch function. So let's go to the little monkey wrench there, and we're going to go down to Plugin Manager, and then we're going to go to Get More. And we're going to look for touch. Alright, so we got touch UI. That's what we want right there. We're going to install that, let that plugin go in. And again, we're going to go through updating it and then rebooting. Proceed. Alright, so it rebooted. So we installed the touch. We're going to go to the wrench again. And we're going to scroll down to touch. Alright, so my display is really big. So what I did was I put extra large. You click here and you click extra large. And I changed the colors so I could see them better. Now, they're web colors. So if you need to know how to do web colors, we'll just hit a plus sign here. And we'll go to web colors. I love this because it gives you a picker. And whatever color you pick, it'll give you what the code is. And you just copy that code right here and you can change the code. So if you want it darker, you want it lighter. So for example, we'll just do this color right here. We'll copy that. We'll go back to OctoPrint and we'll put this in, paste, and it'll change it to that color. So it's a little bit darker. You could change the terminal code, you could change the background color, you could change the text color. I'm leaving that all the same. We'll hit save. So at this point, it's not going to show up on your screen. It's going to just look like text like this on the LCD screen. But on the LCD screen, you'll see your IP address for this Pi. And so what we're going to do is we'll go up here. If you're using a Windows machine, you need to use PuTTY. And you do these steps after you use PuTTY. I'm on a Mac, so I'm just going to use terminal. And we're going to SSH into the Pi. If you need to know how to SSH in the Pi, I have a video here that shows you how to do it, and you could go through that. Okay, so we're going to SSH in the Pi. We have the Pi's IP address. We're going to go ahead and put that in here. Now, it failed. This happens quite often, especially if you're doing a lot of Pi projects. And I always make a little reference. I'm copy and pasting notes that I have off to the side. But this is the code that you want right here. You want SSH-keygen-r. This basically resets your terminal window because it just remembers the last Pi that you were working on, and it's like, that's not correct. We don't like that. You type that in, you hit enter, and now you go back and you go to the SSH for the Pi. So let's go ahead, copy this, SSH back into the Pi. It'll ask you, are you sure you want to continue? You hit yes, Y-E-S. Boom. And now it's going to ask you for the Pi's password. It is not the OctoPrint password. It is the Raspberry Pi password, which we set up in the beginning. Okay, so now we're in OctoPi. Right now, you're viewing your LCD screen and you're seeing the terminal window because we don't have a desktop interface. So what we needed to do is to automatically open up a web browser. Well, luckily, I found a code, and I will leave you a link down in the description below. And this is the code. We're going to paste it right here, and it'll automatically start. And it's a GitHub by Billy Blaze, OctoPrint Touch Auto Start. So it's going to go ahead and install. It's a whole command, so I got to hit enter again because it's the Studio Start Touch. Boom, go right there. It's going to ask for the Pi's password again. Put that in and just let it do its thing. And this does take a little time. Okay, so enter the username to auto log into your OctoPi. So this is the OctoPi username password. I know it's confusing, guys. There's two passwords on this. So you have the actual Pi password, the operating system for Pi, which has a username and password. And then you have OctoPrint, which has a username and password. So don't get those two confused. Right now it's asking for OctoPi. So if you remember earlier, I made it crazy space will. Tap down and then enter. And that way that'll auto log in. Now we want to hit yes, so we hit enter. Okay. All right, it's going through its process. Now we're just waiting on the LCD screen to load the touch. All right, so now we have a screen. We do have the touch enabled. The only problem is we have to log in, and there's no way to do that. So I did hook a keyboard and a mouse to it. Right from the side, there's the keyboard and mouse connection. And I'm just going to go ahead and add this in. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in my password. And this is your touch interface. Right. I ran into two things that I didn't like about the touchscreen setup so far. So I'm going to do the fix for you guys real quick. We're going to go right here. And we're going to get a plugin. And I put it in already. called auto login configuration, and this will automatically log you in, because what I was having problems with the touch screen was as soon as it boots, it launches that browser like I set up for you, but it would have a login screen, so you'd still have to have a keyboard and mouse attached to it to get it to log in. So I wanted to eliminate that. So this auto login configuration, and if you go again to plugin manager, get more, and you type in auto login, it's not going to show here because I already have it in. This is the plugin right here, auto login configuration. You install that. Works great so far. Every time I rebooted the system, it automatically shows up. So that is a great plugin. You don't have to do anything. Once you add the plugin in, it automatically auto logs in. Now, disclaimer, if you're doing a remote access, you don't want this feature put in. Not a good idea. If you're just doing it on your local network and you're not remote accessing this, perfectly fine. Use that at your own discretion. I'm not responsible for your machine. So the next thing that I noticed that I was having problems with was the camera, and everybody goes through this. Usually you plug in a USB camera like I have, or you can put a Pi camera, and usually the Pi cameras work right away. You just have to adjust the resolution, but this does not work, and I know somebody's gonna send me a message and be like, hey Will, I can't get the camera to work. So I'm gonna show you how to do that real quick. For this, we're gonna have to go to terminal. All right, and we're gonna log into the Pi again. And again, it's your SSH. And remember, the Pi has a password, and so does OctoPrint. So you have to remember which is which, because I get them confused myself. All right, so we log into the Pi. We have this here. What we're gonna do is do CD space / and then what we're gonna do is ls. Now the CD space, basically that is just taking us to the main file system of the Pi. So we're in the main file system right now, and now we're gonna go for boot. We're gonna go to CD boot, and we're gonna go to ls again. LS's list. I actually have a really good tutorial teaching you about folders, files, and how to navigate inside a Raspberry Pi. This video right here, really helpful, and I reference it sometimes because I forget. So we're looking for this file right here, and I'm gonna leave this command down in the description, but we're gonna get that file. That file's right there. That's the file we want. So we wanna do sudo nano, and then we just wanna copy this file right here and copy paste. Sudo nano, basically you're rewriting that file. So we're going to go into that file. It's going to ask for your Raspberry Pi password. Remember, it's the Raspberry Pi password, not the OctoPi password. So now we're going to scroll down. We'll scroll down. You could try just unchecking this. All the pound symbols mean that it's not working, like it's pounded out. What we want is USB camera, because I'm using a USB camera. If you're using a Pi camera, you could try and do the auto. If we go to OctoPrint right here, we click on the camera part, the control camera part, we got nothing here. So we're gonna go back to this. We're gonna take the pound away. The resolution's fine. We probably adjust that in a minute. We're gonna do a space dash Y for yes. And then hit Control X, Y for yes, and then enter. And now if we go back to this and refresh the page, ta-ta, we have the camera. Unfortunately, it's facing towards the bottom of my 3D printer because the holder I had for this camera I took off. All right, so we got everything in working order. I do have this connected actually, so we can actually control the printer now. So we're gonna save connections and auto connect. Connect. So we have the camera, we have everything set up. Now let's get over to the touchscreen. All right, so I have this hooked up to my display right here, automatically logs in, got everything. I even got my thumbnail, which if you wanna know how to do a thumbnail, take a look at this video right here. It shows you how to set up thumbnails for OctoPrint and Prusa Slicer, so that way you guys can have your thumbnails on your OctoPrint. And that's the thumbnail right there. This is where the files are. And then we could set the temperature, because I'm gonna go ahead and click on that right here. Show you that works. 210. And I'm gonna hit the check mark, and then you hit the check mark again. I don't know why, but there you go. So now you can see actually on here, it's changed. It's gonna be 210. It's slowly raising the temperature. I gotta load some filament into this. Now we can go to controls. And with the controls, I'm gonna show you, I can move it from side to side, back. So we can adjust that, and you can adjust it in increments. We could do small increments, we could do 10, 100 millimeters, all that. You have all your control. Then we can click on the camera, and that's the camera view right now. I just have it sitting up there just to show you that it's working. And this is how everything's set up in the back. Just connected into the USBs. That's the terminal, it's just telling you what's going on. And that's if you want to make a time lapse. But anyway, you can go back here. So now if we wanted to print this, we could go ahead and print that. I'm gonna do that in a second. I just want to load up some filament. So I got the printer ready. We got the file, and we're gonna go ahead and print this. And now it says printing, so it's gonna heat everything up. We can go into the temperature. You see it's preparing itself. So that's how you set up LCD screen for OctoPrint. Here it is right here. I got the camera working as I showed you in the video. This is really cool if you want to be able to access it just on the fly and be able to mess around with your 3D printer and be able to control it. I just thought it was a cool little device so that way you don't have to take out your phone or go to a computer to stop it or do something. And you could add all your plugins in and have the touch screen, and it adds in on the touch screen. So it's really a cool little project. That's it for me, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe if this helped you in any way, and remember to ring that bell if you want to get notified when I make a video. And remember, you can do anything if you put your mind to it. Later, guys. And there we go. It's over. That's it, guys. I mean, there's other videos up there, or if you want to do me a huge favor, click the like button, or subscribe button's even better.